Good morning, everyone. So I am very happy to be starting the second season of Conversations with Black Women Who Coach with one of my favorite people on the internet and outside of the internet, Stephanie Perry. And before we get started, I just want to say, Stephanie, which I know how self-deprecating you are, but I have to honestly tell you that I would not be doing this or in Mexico, where I'm very happy. I was just telling someone last night how happy I am to be living in San Miguel, if it were not for you. And my sister, who I give credit with sending me your YouTube video like over a year ago and saying, oh, you're interested in travel and stuff. You might like this lady's channel. So I just wanted to thank you so much for everything that you are doing to encourage Black women to live their best lives now and to pursue the lives that they want now. I just met someone last night and they were like, Steph, I saw you on X this time and we were talking about how great you were. And I was like, oh, I'm talking to Stephanie tomorrow. So I just wanted to say that before we even get started, how grateful I am to you for everything that you are doing with your channel and with your work. So tell us a little bit about yourself for people who don't know you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
All right. Thank you. First, thank you very much. You're always very kind with the words for me. You always have very kind words for me, but you did it, right? I didn't take any action for you. So I hope that you also take some time regularly to thank yourself for taking the actions, for making the steps, because I have YouTube subscribers who have watched every video and are still right, are still in the same place and still haven't taken the action that you've taken. So I hope that you thank yourself when you take a second to thank me, also thank yourself. Okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a year-round house sitter. I am the creator of House Sitter School. I help Black women take a sabbatical or move abroad on a budget, as particularly Black women in the US and Caribbean. I don't think that you have to wait until you hit this magic number, this special retirement age to start living your life. I think waiting till you're retired, until your retirement age to start living, I think that's a scam. I think it's a setup. And I'm here to tear that notion down, especially for Black women. As Anne-Marie said, I want you to live today. I want you to live a full life starting today. One of the ways that I teach that is through teaching house sitting and teaching sabbaticals and teaching moving abroad and teaching how to make money from anywhere. But the end goal is just, I want you to live. I want you to live and I want you to start today.
Thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
And I'm so happy to have you. So what inspired you to start doing what you're doing? Because I know you have a very interesting background story, and you have I have a friend who's here right now who's house sitting, and it's because of you, right? So it's like every person that I meet has some connection. Your name always comes up. Either they heard about it through someone else who heard about it from you or something. So she's actually here having a ball house sitting right now, and is then going to house sit for me. So. And it's all, again, she's like, do you know Stephanie Perry? She was saying this to another person. I'm like, do we know Stephanie Perry? Come on, seriously. But what inspired you to do this in the first place?
First, I was inspired to do it myself by some younger people, right? I was 40 and I was traveling in Brazil and I was hanging out with a bunch of millennials who at the time were early 20s. Mm-hmm. And they were like, why are you only here for 5 days? That's ridiculous. You're in Brazil, stay longer. You can quit your job and travel for a long period of time on a little bit of money. So I was inspired by some younger people to get started in this life myself, mm-hmm. which is why I love talking to people in different age brackets and different generations, because you're going to learn from these younger, yes. They're doing things a different way today. So I was inspired to get started myself that way. And then I started bopping around and house sitting and working as little as possible. And then I said, you know what? I have some friends who I think should do this too. I started talking this talk because I had some friends, Charmaine, like real people, Charmaine, Katrina, Aaliyah, my cousin Kim, who I thought, listen, I would love for her to quit her job, travel full time until she's ready to go back and do something else. So I started sharing the message just because I knew women who I thought who I wanted to hear it, who I thought needed to hear it. And I knew women who, for whom it was too late. right? We all know women for whom who have worked themselves to an early grave or
Yes.
worked themselves into debilitating diseases. And I just didn't want that for them. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for us. And so I thought, well, let me share what I can share. And, together we can find a way to make that no more. One day we will look back and say, oh, Black women, what do you mean Black women work themselves? No, they don't. Black women no longer work themselves to an early grave.
Exactly.
Black women are no longer the workhorses of society. No, that's what are you talking about? One day that will be in the past. I hope that's what I see coming down the pipe.
Well, one of the things that you say that always resonates with me is when you say Black excellence is killing Black people and specifically Black women, because I was one of those people who was very like tied to what I did for a living and would work all the time and, always felt this responsibility to my job that they never deserved. And I think that that's one of the things, as well as a lot of us just have very self-limiting ideas of what we can and cannot do. But that comes out of the same way of thinking, that you define yourself by what it is that you do instead of who you actually are, which is not necessarily what you do for a living. And so that was one of the most powerful things I had heard you say early on, is that it is not necessary to ascribe to that kind of thinking. But a lot of us have been taught as Black people that to get respect in society, that you have to do these certain things. And so we don't do anything but work all the time. And as Black women, we feel that we have to take care of everybody else and we have to make sure that everybody else is happy. And so by the time you figure out that you want to be, do other things, then it ends up being too late to do it.
That's right. I got to spend enough time out of the country and just see how other people in other countries live their daily lives. And then I got to look back at how we were doing things here. And it just dawned on me, Black excellence. It's Black excellence is killing us. This idea that we have to work X times harder and be X times better and look X times more presentable and respectable and all of that is crushing us, like literally it's crushing us. And so I think the idea is not the idea that we don't need to ascribe to Black excellence to live and that we should reject it. I think that's not a new idea. It's just that we're so tuned into it that we don't think that there is an option. Like, what is the option? How is it possible to be a person who does as little as possible?
Right.
How is it possible to be a person who is not defined by her job and her degrees and her real estate holdings? And, how is it possible to be those things and still be happy? Because we've kind of mixed up what happiness is. We've mixed in those achievements.
Right. And said, if you do this, then you'll be happy.
Right.
And one has nothing really to do. And so because that's one of the things I discovered. And I think the pandemic, which, is still going on, but I'm very grateful to 2020, because when you have to sit still, it forces you to kind of examine a lot of things about whether you are in fact happy. And I think Americans generally, but Black people specifically, because we are always trying to pursue respectability in the United States, right? So that maybe I'll not be a second-class citizen if I do this. Maybe I'll be treated better if I do that, right? And so you're then buying all these things and acquiring all these things, and you have all these things, but then you realize you're still not happy, right? Yeah. So what is happiness anyway, right? And most of us haven't even had time to even think about it, because we're so busy working and so busy doing all these things that everyone says we need to do. Because like now when someone in my family announces, oh, I just bought my house, I kind of feel sad.
I know.
Because I recognize the trap. I call it a trap. You know what I'm saying? The trap that a lot of these things are, that we don't realize till later, because everyone is told, well, you get the job, you go to college, you do this, then you buy the house, then you buy the car, then you do all these things. And you never stop to think, well, why? In pursuit of what? Like, why are we doing all of these things, right?
We don't know what we really want. As long as you're busy doing things, working, going to school, taking care of other people, as long as you're busy, you don't have time to examine, what do you really want? What does your ideal life look like for you?
Right.
And so you can tick off these achievements, but until you've had a lot of free time, you don't know if that is something that you really want or if that's something that you're just doing because it's been ascribed to you, right? Somebody has passed this down to you and said, these are the steps. These are the things that you need to be doing. I really am an advocate for free time, right? I want to normalize free time. I think that is the solution to these, to taking on other people's ideas of yourself, right? Give yourself some free time, some time to examine what you're really into, try some things, reject some things.
Right.
That is when you'll find out what.
If you stop and think of it, some of the most successful people, right? The reason why they were able to have these ideas and do all these things that they were able to is because they had time. Whether it's because their mommy and daddy was rich, which is most of them, and they're white, and they didn't have to, they didn't have to work. They didn't have to do this. They get to go, go abroad in the summer and all these things that we, don't get to do till way later in life, if ever, which gives you the time to actually, because you do some of your best thinking, I say, on the beach, doing nothing. But most of us don't get an opportunity to just lay somewhere, you know what I'm saying? Sit on a terrace and just drink wine and look at the mountains in Italy. You can have really great ideas doing that. But most of us don't have that opportunity. We don't give that opportunity to ourselves. It's not that we don't have it, but we don't realize that we have that option to actually take time off. So here's a question I have for you. Do you consider yourself to be a coach, which I've always wondered about? And if you do, what inspired you to actually start doing that?
I do consider myself to be a coach. Technically, what I do is more mentorship, right? I can help you get places that I've been. Coaches can help you do a variety of things. I can help you do some specific things. That's the difference for me. But I do consider myself a coach. I do. And most of the time that I have during the day that is work, pretty much everything that I do that is work is coaching work.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do consider myself a coach.
And what inspired you to start working with people in the way that you do? Because I consider you to be a coach too, but I always wondered, because you've definitely coached me. So I've always wondered whether you realized that's what you were doing. Because I've done your YouTube course, which I think I still go and pull that up on my computer when I can't remember something. I literally will go watch that video, that course, the webinar course that you had early on. And so what inspired you to decide to not just do the house sitter school, but to actually work with people to do specific things? How do you use YouTube better for your business and things like that?
If enough people ask me a question, I'm going to put something together so that I don't have to do it over and over again, right? So really, it's just a matter of enough people saying, "Oh, I need help with this thing." Sometimes they don't even say, "I need help." Honestly, sometimes I just see you need help with this, and that. And is this something I can help you with, or can I point you to someone else who can help you with this thing? Right. So I did enough house sitting and sabbatical calls with women who were like, "Oh, you know what, but this is not going to be temporary for me. I want to leave the country and stay gone. And I need to get, my business running so that I can do that, right? So that it can support me in this new life." And that's when I was just like, "Oh, well, I can help you. I can help women with these particular things." So it's like demand and supply. I don't supply it until there's a demand for it. I don't make anything until someone's asked me to make it and paid me to make it.
That's key.
That's the newest addition. Yeah, I'm not making a masterclass or a course or anything until I've gotten some people registered and paid. Yeah. So it just happens when enough people say, "Oh, I need this thing." And there are plenty of things that I've decided I'm not going to coach on, or I'm not going to talk on. I'm not getting involved in certain areas. I don't want my time dedicated to these things, because even though I do run a coaching business, I want to live the life of my dreams, which includes a lot of free time, a lot of laying in hammocks, and and so there's plenty of things that I could help people with, that people come to me for help with. And I say, "No, I can't do that. I can point you to someone, or you're going to have to do some Googles." I think it's important for coaches to be able to reject some things. You don't have to go down every single path. I like being focused. I like knowing that I talk on these subjects and everything else. I don't talk too much. I don't talk on taxes, right? People email me all the time about taxes. I'm not getting into it. I'm not doing it. I have no problem saying no to things and then walking full force into the stuff that I do want to talk about.
Now, what do you think in terms of how important it has been as a Black woman doing the work that you do? Like, why do you think it's important? Do you think that's an important part of the coaching work that you do, that you are a Black woman doing this? And why do you think that's important?
I think we just don't see, or we just have not seen Black women talking in this space, right? I call it a movement. This is a movement, right? You're part of the movement. I am Wanda from BlackWomen Travel Podcast, and Rashida Dow and Adelia, right? That we just had not seen Black women sharing what they were doing before. Black women have been doing this, right? Black women have been leaving the country. Black women have been getting their severance. Black women have been, house sitting, but we just didn't see Black women talking too much about it because culturally, we're told to keep quiet, keep quiet about these things. The closer you get to living your dream life, the quieter you have to be about it, right? Keep it close to you. Don't share it. So I think there's we're seeing a new turn of Black women saying, oh no, I'm going to live out loud. If it bothers you, you're going to have to be bothered. And so I think it is important for me to not just share what I'm doing, but coach. Not everyone has to coach, right? So if you want to live your life and enjoy your life and not coach people on how to do that thing, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with joy for the sake of joy. I'm fine with being happy and having peace of mind and not running a business. But if you do decide, if you're a Black woman and you do decide that you want to talk on a thing, do it. And make sure that you let Black women know that this is a space for them. This is something that's pretty new. I think also Black women, because that's the response I get all the time. Oh, I really appreciate that you have a space that's just for us. I've been in spaces that were just for Black women, but I guess a lot of people don't have that. I've had the privilege of that. But part of it is I'm from Delaware. I'm from a very small place. So we stick together here. But so I think that if you want to do some coaching and you're a Black woman, I would recommend you don't have to say this is only for Black women, but if that's what you want, if that's the community of women that you want, say it, because it's an attractor, right? Then Black women, like, this is for me.
Because I just said that to someone the other day, because I was like, everything you're doing doesn't have to just be for Black people or for Black women. But I was like, if that is the primary audience, then you should say that, right? But it's okay if it's not, depending on what but I was just saying to them, for what I do, I'm interested in helping Black women. It's not that I won't help other people, and I do talk to other people, but I'm primarily interested in helping Black women leave hostile work environments with separation, with severance. So I'm like, some of what I say might be off-putting to other people, and that's okay with me, because I'm like, I'm not really talking to you, right? So, if you want to join the conversation, it's fine. And if you want to talk to me and you want my advice and whatever, I'm happy to give it to you. But I'm talking, through the prism of what my experience is as a Black woman and what I have seen and who I believe are the most abused in these kinds of environments. And so those are the people that I want to help. And so I think, but for some people who are doing like travel related things and things like that, I was saying to someone the other day, I'm like, if you want to widen your net, then you might have to do some rebranding, and that's okay to do that. Don't feel bad about doing that. You can still target, Black women through a specific campaign or so on. It doesn't just have to be us, right? And that's okay too. Yeah.
That's right. I hope that women who coach, I just want one more time. I just hope that Black women who coach, I just want you to know, if you want your audience, your community to be Black women only, it's okay. Yeah. I think that there's a fear, right? There's a fear. Oh, I can't say that. If that's what you want, say it. It's okay. You're not even going to be turning away money, because as much as I say, as many times as I say, I help Black women do X, Y, Z, I still get clients who are not Black women, right? Yeah. They still, right?
Yeah. And that's fine. And I'm happy to talk to whoever, but, and I use the same messaging, and yet they still come, right? Because we're not the only people being subjected to these things. We're just subjected to the most egregious things.
That's
But,
right.
as I said to someone, if someone feels free to do this to me, trust and believe they're coming around to you eventually.
Yes.
So when they come to you and you don't know what to do and you hear me talking about it, you want to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to you. But my audience, the people who I am really trying to support, are people that look like me, because I know, what it's like to think that you're in these environments and you don't have any options at all. And like you said, a lot of us have never seen, even though Black women have been doing it, people don't talk about it. So a lot of us have never seen, I had never seen anyone like you before that was in my age group that I could relate to. The people that I would see on YouTube were always much younger than me, right? And I was like, kudos to them, because I actually think, when you're young and you have no responsibilities, get on a plane and go somewhere, right? And I tell my younger family members that all the time. Don't tie yourself down to some job or whatever. If your parents ain't pushing you out the house, don't go. Stay in there, get your free room and board, get on a plane and go see the world, right? There's a huge world out there, go see the world. But I never saw anybody that looked like me in my age bracket that was, was literally someone I could relate to, that was doing the thing that I wanted to do. And it's important to see people who look like you doing things. It doesn't matter what it is. And so I think you're right that now people are actually talking about it and talking about like how they did it, right? Which makes it more accessible to other people to say, oh, I can actually do this. If I want to do it, I actually can figure out a way. Because I think people tell themselves, oh, that looks great, but I could never do that. They're 25 or they're 30, so they can do that, right? So it's a very powerful thing to see somebody that's your age doing it. Like, I work out and I just started working out again. And the person I follow was someone I met at Exodus Summit, and she's my age. So when I'm there doing these workouts, the other day I was like, oh my God, I think I'm gonna die. And then I was like, I can't complain. She's the same age as me. She might actually be a year older than me. And I'm like, well, I can't really say anything because she's here in front of me doing it. So I guess I'm gonna just stick this out. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing, that you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I could actually start working out again at past 50, because there are people that look like me that are actually doing it. And so I think what you're saying about the power of seeing someone say no, because I'm very much have done some of the things because you talk about this, because I tune in live a lot on Saturday morning when Stephanie is live. And I love when you say, I'm trying to do as little as possible. Because even when I got here, one of the things that I've had to really work on is your mind, because you have to change the way you think. And I realized I was working all the time. Yeah. And I was like, I did not come down here to be doing no 9-to-5 job. And so I had to make some like really intentional, conscious decisions about my schedule and even what I really want to do versus what I don't want to do, right? Because I was like, I could do many different things, right? But I really want to do these specific things, and I don't really want to do other things besides this. And then I'll be working all the time if I am. Yeah. Right. And I don't want to work all day long. I want to go on long walks. I want to like lay in bed until 12 if that's what I want to do some days. I want to have a massage every week. So I was like, I gotta, and so I like made very intentional choices, because you realize, well, actually, I can do that. I can now decide not to have meetings on Fridays. I can decide to end my workday at a certain time. But you have to like seriously think about, well, what kind of life do I want to have? Right. So otherwise you'll just bring the same,
replicate.
And that's what I say to people all the time. You really need to think about why you want to do this and what changes you're willing to make, not just in your life, but how you think. Because if you're not able to do that as a Black person, we're so traumatized by being in an environment where we are second-class citizens. And that's the facts. I don't care what kind of car you drive, how much money you make, you're not an equal citizen in the United States. And there's nothing you can do that's going to give you that, because you don't have the power to give it to yourself. And so if you leave an environment like that and you don't spend some time figuring out how you're going to relate in a new environment, it can really mess with you. So you come with the same expectations that people are going to treat you as a second-class citizen, because that's what you're used to. Right. And so the first time someone says no or doesn't do something the way you want, they're racist. And I hear people do it. I see people do it. And I'm like, well, maybe the answer is just no.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with you being Black. Maybe
Yeah.
they're staring at you because they've never seen a Black person before, not because they think that there's anything wrong with you. You know what I mean? And I'm like, but you have to stop and think, well, why am I thinking this way? Right? But if you just come and think that your life is just going to change because you live somewhere else, if you don't do the work to change the way you think about yourself, right, you're still not going to be happy.
That's right.
You're not going to be happy.
It's hard to unlearn these things, the protections that we need to carry with us all day, every day in the United States, right, are real. And it's hard to unlearn them. It's hard to let them go. Time, I think, is the solution, and you're right, the new environment, the new friends will help. But it does require some effort. It requires a process for you to unlearn these things. And then it's amazing how quick you can put them back on when you have to come back into the United States.
Oh, no, I said that to someone last night. I said, as soon as I get off the plane and they say, welcome to the United States, I said, there's a tightness across my chest that I get. Because you have to start thinking, well, what if they ask me this at the thing? And what if this happens? And what, because it's not, it's not conjecture. It could actually happen. Right. So you're constantly like preparing yourself for something to happen. And so when you leave, the first time I see a police officer with these big ass guns, that they have in Mexico, but they're not thinking about me. They're not, you know what I mean? But you see it and you immediately are like, and the first time police officer says something to you or looks at you and you're like, oh my God, they're going to do something to me. And they are not thinking about you at all, right? No. But you're so programmed to have these certain emotions that you have to put those things aside. And it is a process to put them aside. And it doesn't matter where you go in the world, whether it's Mexico or somewhere else, you have to figure out like how you're going to adjust, because it is an adjustment. You're like literally learning that, you are an American when you go to these other places, and there are privileges that come with that you never got to experience. So now it's like, oh, why are they being so nice to me? Because you're American. That's why. That accent. Yeah. And you're like, oh, you know what I mean? And then you're Black, and some people have never seen a Black person before. And they think it's the most wonderful thing in the world. And you're like, why in the world are these people, talking to me and whatever? And you have to adjust to all of those things. Yes. And so I think, those are some of the things that some of us have to think about as we think about moving abroad, is that they're like mental adjustments and mindset adjustments that you have to make that you may not even realize you haven't thought about.
And the slowing down. Everything is urgent in the United States. Nothing is urgent anywhere else in the world. It's not
people have quality of life that I don't think we even really understand, because we don't have that experience. So, I just had someone the other day call me about, I connected them with someone to help them with something, and the person is Mexican. And they're like, oh my God, I haven't heard from them yet. And oh my God. And I said, they're Mexican. This is not an emergency. It's the weekend. You're not going to hear from them until Monday or Tuesday. It's not urgent. Like, it's going to be okay. Right. And I have had to adjust, but I'm kind of there now. So I'm like, I don't care. Okay. Right. But this person, so I had to say to them, this is different. It's okay. They haven't forgotten, but it's not, everything doesn't have to happen in 5 minutes. And in the United States, we think everything has to happen in 5 minutes, and it doesn't. And I'm like, it's the weekend. So yeah, you're not going to hear anything from this person until next week. Yeah. It's okay. And that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not bad customer service. It's okay. But we have been programmed that that's how it has to be. And everything is much slower. And it's not just here, it's everywhere. Like when I was in Italy, when I tell you ain't nobody in a hurry in Italy to do nothing at all, and they just have a quality of life that I admire. And here as well. They may not have as much money as us and whatever, but they have a better quality of life because they're not driven by the pursuit of money, right? People spend time with their families on the weekends. They go out and they have a good time. They go out to dinner late at night with the entire family in Mexico and in Italy. You go out at 9 o'clock and it's like daytime, right? And we don't do that. Everybody's in bed. Why? Because they got to go to bed first thing in the morning, right? So you're like rushing to, finish eating by a certain time so you can go home, so you can go to sleep, so you can go work, right? And it's just a different way that people live that I think is wonderful, Try buying something in late at mid-afternoon. Try getting some food in certain parts of Italy. You won't, because it's closed, because they went to take a nap, and they'll see you at 7:30, 8 o'clock. They're like, you can have some coffee, but we ain't got nothing else to give you till about 5, 6 o'clock. And it's okay. You think it's weird at first, and then I thought, this is actually nice. These people went home to spend time with their family and get a nap. And they'll be back at 7, and it will be fine, but we just have this different way of thinking.
Our whole week is pointing to work, right? Yes. Everything happens so that we can be able to work, right? Stores are open late because we have to be at work for the best hours of the day.
Right.
Everything is pointing to creating a day where work is the focus. And that's just not the case in everywhere else.
Anywhere else in the world, it's not that way. It's really not. So what would you say for people, what's your ideal client look like? When you're thinking in terms of your client and the people that would want to work with you, what does your ideal client look like?
My ideal client is ready to take some action. So sometimes like I said, I've got subscribers and followers and clients who have known me less time than you have and have not made a step, right? Have not taken a step. It's fear. I am not a therapist.
Yeah.
So I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I can't get you to take some action. If you want to take some action, I can get you there. I can get you to where you want to go. Right. So my ideal client is ready to take some action. My ideal client is a person who knows that there's something better for her, even if she doesn't know what that better is, right? Just knows that she is willing to walk in the direction of the newness, even if she's not exactly sure what's going to happen, where she's going.
And that's true. I mean, and I think, I have the coaching directory, and I'm actually getting ready to write a blog post about the difference between a therapist and a coach, because I feel like people are very confused. And I don't think it's just the public. I think some of the coaches are confused too. And, I always tell people the same thing. I don't even consider myself to be a coach. I'm like, I give advice.
Okay.
I give advice and information, right? And I will give you the best advice I can about how to do a specific thing. But when it comes to the mindset and the fear and the feelings and the whatever, I'm like, I can't really help you with that. I can suggest, depending on what it is a person tells me they've dealt with, that they talk to a therapist or that they get a coach. And I do that a lot with some of my clients, because some of them have been so traumatized and so damaged by these work environments, right? And fear is a powerful thing, right? And how you deal with fear is a very important thing, because it doesn't go away. I tell people that all the time. I do things scared all day long, every single day, but I just do it anyway, right? But it doesn't stop me from doing it, but it doesn't mean that I don't feel it, like a lot, right? And so I think that how people deal with some of these things, you're right, is I'm not a therapist. I can't, yes, I know this feels bad, because people tell me, I'm traumatized and I'm this, and I'm like, I'm very sad to hear that. However, I still need you to do these things if you want the outcome that you want me to help you get.
That's right.
Right? And I can't really tell you how to get there. I can just tell you that if you're not willing to do these things, it can't get you to the outcome that you're trying to get to, right? And there's no guarantee you're going to get that outcome, but I can guarantee you if you do nothing, you will get nothing. That's just the way that it is, right? And I think that people are confused sometimes about the difference between a person that can help you get to the place where you think in a different way versus a person that can just tell you the steps to take to get to a certain place, right? And then a person that can just give you advice. And I'm like, I give advice. I'm like, I don't do the other stuff, right? And I will give you, but I want you to have the other things, right? So if I feel like you need it, I'm happy to tell you, here's a person that I think would be great to work with you. But I'm like, I don't do that. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, I'm going to give you, I know how to do this thing very, very well. And I will give you advice about how to get as close as possible to getting this outcome, right? But I can't do the rest. And I think it's important for people to know, both as coaches, as well as the public, what's the difference?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of confusion about the difference, the different lines,
I agree. I agree. And then there's also the idea. So you say you give advice, and there's also like facilitation. There are people who can facilitate and create spaces for things to happen, who
Right.
don't have to do who aren't doing the coaching and aren't doing the advice giving, and
Yeah.
Black women coaches can do things in a variety of different
Mm-hmm.
ways. Find the way that works for you. So if you
Right.
if you're like Anne-Marie and you're like, listen, I don't want to get it. We're not getting into mindset. We're not getting, you can do things in your way. The
Right.
type of coaching is just a term that is easier to explain to people than
Right.
mentor or
And depending on
facilitate.
what you're doing, you don't need to have the ability to do that stuff. You can coach someone and help them get from here to there, and you don't need to work with mindset and any of that stuff, right? But for some, depending on what it is, for some people, mindset is a key factor, right? And even if because I always tell people it doesn't mean a coach isn't good if they don't do those things. It's about what you need to have. And so you might need a person who can facilitate certain things and give you advice, and then a person who can help you do the other part. And it doesn't need to be the same person.
No.
Like I needed a business coach for one thing. I needed another person to help me with the other thing. I got two different people, yes. Right? And it's okay to do that. You can work with Stephanie and then go work with somebody to figure out why it is that even though you really want to do all the things that Stephanie has given you advice about, you're still not doing it. Right? You need to figure out, like, what do I need to do to get there? And it's okay to work with more. I found it helpful to work with more than one person to get myself on the path to do the things that I wanted to do the way that I wanted to do them. So I think people should realize it's not necessarily a limiting thing, but you might need to work with a different group of people. Just like when you get to a certain point in your business, you realize you got to hire somebody. That's and then right. And then you realize you got to hire another somebody. Right. And it's the same thing. You're the most important project you're ever going to have. And it never ends. So it's like, figure out who are the best people to help you to do the things that you need to do. And it doesn't have to be just one person with one area of expertise.
That's right. Your bookkeeper is not the person who's in your inbox answering your emails.
Exactly.
Yes. What you need from people who can give that to you.
So you're always doing interesting things, Stephanie. So tell us a little bit about like what your latest project, in addition to House Sitter School. I know you have like you have lots of different things that you're doing. So I'm not going to tell people, I'm gonna let you tell them. What are you up to right now that you want people to know about? I'm moving into the money. Okay. I've heard enough from women who are saying, yes, but what about the money? Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, you've covered the travel thing. What about the money? Mm-hmm. So we're talking not personal finance. We're talking about actually like how to make more money. Mm-hmm. I'm running a YouTube challenge now that helps you get your YouTube channel jump started if you sell a product or a service. I think if you provide a service, or if you sell a product, I think you should be on YouTube, right? I sell a product, which is called House Sitter School. House Sitter School supports me because I'm on YouTube, because of my YouTube channel. And I think that everyone who sells a product or a service should be on YouTube. I think flat out. So I run a monthly challenge called the YouTube Success Challenge to help jumpstart your YouTube channel so that you can get your product or service selling so that you can live that travel dream. That challenge is a challenge for Black women, but last time I did let some men in, so don't be alarmed. But it's a challenge for people who have a channel that they want to support this new journey or this new part of their life. So that's something that I'm really excited about doing. And I also have a YouTube membership, but it's not open to people unless they've gone through the challenge, right? Okay. So the people who want to do some more longer term coaching with me on their YouTube channel can come to do that after they've gone through the challenge. And I would highly recommend doing anything Stephanie is teaching around YouTube. I highly recommend that you do it, because I have, like I said, took her one of her early courses, and I still refer to it. And I'm seriously considering doing the challenge if I can find the time. So I think it's really, I just started a channel this year, and I use a lot of the things that I learned from you, right? And I can see the results, right? So I think people should definitely, if you want to do well on YouTube. And like Stephanie said, it is the place to go. If you have anything to sell, anything to teach, anything like that, it's where you should go. And so knowing how to use it well is very important. And so I think that I would encourage people to like participate in any course that Stephanie has about the YouTube. And Stephanie knows YouTube better than anybody I can think of. So what my last question for you is, what is one important thing that you've learned about yourself through the coaching and the work that you do with other people? What have you learned?
I've learned, so this might sound strange to you, but I've learned that I am able to connect with people. So I've been a hermit and a loner my whole life. And I'm good with that, right? I'm perfectly fine with that. Even though I like to travel, go places and stay indoors. go to a museum. I'm gonna go to a museum and to the restaurant and stuff, but I'm gonna stay in the house. I just like to be in the environment in this new place, right? I'm a hermit. But I learned through coaching that I can actually connect with people, and not only connect with people, but I can help them live a new life. It's an amazing feeling. I was a pharmacy technician until I was 41. I was a pharmacy technician until I was 41. I also worked for a long period of time in banks because I'm from Delaware. I worked as a credit analyst for years and years as well. And so I just didn't know that I had this thing in me, this teaching, this helping, this, I thought that I was just a person who went to work and went home and laid on the sofa. So what I've learned about myself is everything, right? But mainly what I've learned is that I can connect with people. And
yes, you can. You're very good at it.
Thank you. It's new. That's new to me. It's new.
Yeah. You and I have a lot in common. Every time I talk to you, I find something, because people also think that I'm super outgoing, and I'm really not. I can be, right? But I also liked, I literally said this to someone over the weekend when we were talking about introverts and extroverts. And they were like, kind of questioning whether I actually was an introvert. And I was like, no, I don't have any problem not speaking or doing anything for not just a day, for days. I said, and it doesn't bother me if I don't see another soul. If I don't see anyone but my dog, it doesn't bother me at all. Sometimes I even get annoyed that my dog is following me around. So it's like, I was like, no, I like my own company pretty well. And even when I travel, I like to travel by myself, because if I wake up one day and I don't care where I am and I'm like, I don't feel like going outside, I don't want to go outside, so I don't.
That's right.
I'm like, yes, I'm in a beautiful place, but I can see it from the window. Yes. And I think I'm just going to stay inside today. And people think that that's strange, but then I can be around people and be super outgoing and be that as well. But then after that, I'm like, I don't want to come out the house for another 24 hours because I'm tired from all the talking and interacting, right, that I had to do. You know what I mean? The peopling that I had to do is what I call it. So yes. But yes, you are very good you're incredibly good at connecting with people. And like I said, you have changed the lives of a lot of people, not just mine, but the lives of a lot of people for the better. I can't tell you how many women, every time I meet a Black woman traveling, not just here, but in other places, and it's like, have you ever heard of Stephanie Perry? And I'm like, yes. In groups that I'm in, and someone will say something. Have you ever heard of house sitting? Because someone said, I've just heard of house sitting, and someone's like, have you been on Stephanie Perry's channel? So yeah, you are touching a lot of people. So it's really interesting that you never thought that you were an extrovert. And the good news is that you don't have to be. You don't have to be to do this kind of work, and that you can really still make an impact and be yourself. Yes. At the same thing, which is the best, same time, which is the best thing there is. Oh, Stephanie, this has been a lot of fun. I knew it would be. Thank you so much. I've really been looking forward to this. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me out of your day, because I know, not that you're busy, but you're busy not doing anything, which is a good kind of busy. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and thank you for everything. I really mean it.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I hope that I can come back again and again. Thank you.
Oh, I'll have you as many times as you want to come back. So don't say that to me, Stephanie.
It's a date.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.